I'm Jacqueline Johnson.
And I'm Marina Middleton.
And this is Work Party, a podcast that's part work and part party. Work Party celebrates a new generation of women who are redefining the meaning of work on their own terms and having fun while doing it.
In this podcast, we are diving into all the areas of being a working woman: mind, body, and business. No topic is off limit.
Real talk and hot takes. Think of us as your internet work wives. This is Work Party,
the podcast.
Wait, where's the champagne?
Okay, here's what I keep thinking about. There are creators with 5 million followers who are more influential than most Fortune 500 CMOs. And yet, these creators are still waiting for a brand deal to hit their inbox. That's not a creator economy, that's a gig economy with better lighting. Today, I'm sitting down with someone who has lived every version of this conversation. Activist, founder, CEO, creator, runner, big sister, and now she's joining us at Cherub as our Chief Creator Officer to blow up how creators think about money, ownership, and what they're actually building. Nadya, welcome to Work Party.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. We've had such a fun journey.
Yes.
But I want to talk about your founder journey first. So let's talk about August. The period care market is worth over $21 billion. It's been dominated by the likes of P&G and Kimberly-Clark, who've had their products on the shelf for decades. But you raised a $2 million pre-seed round in the middle of the pandemic and launched anyway. What did you know about this market at the time, and what made you want to start August?
Yeah, well, I would say that my entrepreneurial journey started when I was 16. I ran a nonprofit for like 6 years called Period Movement. And it was all about collecting period products and then redistributing them to shelters and service partners. And so within like the first 3 years, I had built these close relationships with the P&Gs, Unilevers, Kimberly-Clarks of the world who are our donors. But it also meant that like my relationship to these service partners was constantly getting product feedback with no vested interest in like improving the product or anything like that. But I think for me, it was like a boot camp on learning so much about the products, working closely with the companies because I needed to be able to explain it, and forming a lot of strong opinions about what needed to be different about the products. I think similarly, I wrote a book called Period Power, a manifesto for the menstrual movement, and was trying to answer this question around why does the period stigma exist? And like the conclusion I came to in researching for that book was it's because of our capitalist industry that this industry has sold women the narrative, you buy products to hide your period, forget you have a period. And so I came into starting August as a result of like years of working in the space, working with every major period brand, either as a nonprofit partner, as an influencer, or as a consultant, like working with them about next gen marketing, communications, insights, how to be gender inclusive. Do they want to be gender inclusive? And I think just getting to a point of such frustration of like, I know this industry needs to be better, the products need to be better, and I've tried to push the companies internally. There's not a lot of appetite there, like let's do it ourselves.
Amazing. So August crossed over $1 million in sales in its first year and has since gone on to raise $5 million plus. But obviously, the more you build, the more you learn. What have been some of those lessons early on as you were building August?
I mean, early on, and this is where like I as an individual really thrive in the year 1 through 3 of the company, is like my attitude was very much about experimentation. TikTok had just kind of come into the world. This is like 2020, 2021, where it was like you were seeing these success stories of brands blowing up overnight. I had like 0 followers on TikTok, but I sort of like forced myself to do it because I mean, essentially, when you're especially a new direct-to-consumer company, it's like you don't want to get stuck in the paid marketing hamster wheel and burn through all your cash that way. Influencers are extremely expensive, and it's also risky because you're not sure about the conversion, so you don't really have that opportunity to experiment. And so kind of the only solution to have an efficient marketing wheel is like someone who's compensated in equity essentially needs to go viral. And so I kind of just forced myself into that path and found some early success. I think I had my first 1 million followers after 2 months.
Wow.
And I was posting like dozens of times a day. And I think that was really like the era of August that I really thrived in, was this kind of being okay with throwing spaghetti at the wall, knowing like most of it wasn't going to stick, but whatever stuck, you just kept leaning into. And so I think especially in those first few years, it was about, you know, working on content that was very educational, was a bit provocative and like pushing the narrative around stigma-free period talk. And I think the company's in a very different era, and I'm currently working on, stepping away from August in a day-to-day seat, letting my co-founder continue on and explore working with Cherub and other opportunities. But I think especially in those early days, like I really pushed the content side.
Yeah. Sure. So you once said that you posted 100 times a day on TikTok, and that's so much work, like to grow the brand. So one, what did showing up that relentlessly for the brand cost you personally?
Oh, yeah.
And how did it do for the brand?
So such a great question. And I see some people in my comments who like doubt there's no way she did this. And then I will actually have other people check and go count. And like it wasn't every day, but like most days I would post at least 80. And then like there were several days like within a month that I would post like 100 or more. And like my mentality was I would do all my founder work, right, which is mostly Zoom calls, very unsexy, fundraising, that kind of stuff. And then I would sit there in the evenings and just like literally tally score video 1, video 2. And when I tell you it was pure experimentation, I did not give a fuck about what I looked like. My hair is a mess. And it was everything from this is what I did today as, co-founder of August, all the way to this is me on a toilet and how I put in a tampon. This is what my tampon looks like after I take it out. Like it was very direct. And what I honestly just kept leaning into was responding to questions, right? Yeah. On TikTok, you can respond to a question with video. And so anytime I made a video about periods, it was everything from how many holes do I have down there? If I use a tampon, will I lose my virginity? And so I think in the early days, it was very much just interacting with community and honestly just like responding to what people were wondering about, right? And so that was really what I leaned into. In terms of what it cost me, I have the most terrifying digital footprint. Like every now and then I'll still get I'll have old videos from 6 years ago that will go viral again. And it's me like showing my vaginal discharge to the camera going like, this means you're ovulating, all the way to let me prove to you that my pad absorbs more period blood, or why showing demonstration with blue water is inaccurate. But it means like in the moment, it's like the best decision ever. And to be honest, in those early days, like it did lead to brand awareness, right? And I would say that it was a converter for sales for maybe the first couple years. And then it kind of like gets old, right? Like people have seen it, it's been done before. So that's where I always preface by saying like, for any other company, I don't think the answer is to like, okay, get onto TikTok and be provocative. This is what worked at the time.
Yeah.
And even for August, it's what worked at the time, right? I think it would be a very different story now.
100%.
Yeah.
Like early 2020, 21 was like the heyday.
Yeah. And it was like shit posting, trying to get on the For You page. And so it's not a strategy that I take, nor do I think the company will ever take again. But in the moment, it was really successful. And there were stunts that I would do, like wearing my pad out in public and at like music festivals that would lead to spikes in sales, right? It wasn't every time, but like, there was constant experimentation. But yeah, I think what it cost me is that like my digital footprint is terrifying. There are so many videos of me on the toilet, hair's a mess, like looking like absolutely, like I just had no boundary, because for me, it was like, let me put my life, myself on the line for the sake of this company, right? Like we raised our $2 million pre-seed also like as we were graduating college.
Wow.
So for me, I think not coming from like a wealthy background or anything, the pressure of like, we raised more money than I could at the time could have ever imagined. And I don't have like a career to fall back on,
Got to make
like,
it work.
Yeah, you got to make it work. And so I think that was kind of my attitude going into like content, try anything, do anything, and like putting my body out there for it.
I love it. Well, you destigmatized a category that has forever been pretty off limits. So I think you've done that successfully, obviously for the brand, despite your footprint being crazy. But it also led you to becoming a massive content creator with millions and millions of followers. And you've even talked openly about the fact that your life and your content are basically the same thing. Yeah. You have your wedding, your health, your runs, your sisters, it's all, in the feed. So where do you draw the line between being the product or like creating these boundaries around what you're doing?
I have no boundaries.
Okay, perfect.
I think like that's the honest answer. And like, I think that's maybe why like my content resonates is like I do post real time. Like I'm a zero drafts type of person. Like I don't really plan out like, oh, I'm gonna make a day in the life. It's like, oh, like today I have kind of an interesting fun day. Like I'm very much like post what I'm doing. I would say the only thing that's off limits is like if it's about an interaction or relationship I have with someone and it's off limits to them. For example, like my sex life, right? Like my fiance has never made a social media account, like talking about intimacy for my, like, you know, I've always been very openly sex positive, but like, I think for me, I respect more boundaries of others. But in terms of my relationship with social, I think it's a very, very blurred line. And I don't mind that. I think that for me, like I've used social media as like a daily extension of myself since I was a teenager. And so in that way, I think it's just kind of become a part of me for better or worse.
Totally. Yeah. And I do think the perfect pairing for a couple is like a completely offline boyfriend with a chronically online partner, like chronically online girlfriend. Like I do think that is the winning combo.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about what you mentioned earlier with August. So obviously you've scaled, you've been part of this brand and you're stepping away from the day to day. And I think that takes a lot of self-awareness and also a lot of understanding of what a company needs when maybe it's not you anymore. And I think as someone that's so young and like obviously so in the beginnings of their like amazing career stretch, like that takes a lot. And so talk to us about that decision.
Well, it's not the first time I've made the decision. And I think that's where like, obviously the founder sort of, I don't know, I've heard someone call it like founderitis. It's like the issue where one of the worst things you can do for a company is like a founder toxically stays and like clings onto an original vision when like the company needs to shift and change with the times. And I would say that like, so I started this nonprofit in high school, and then there was a time 6 years in where I was like, you know, we have staff now. I have this interest in starting a potential period company. Like it's a conflict of interest for me to be taking donation dollars in here. Like it made no sense and I wanted to pursue other opportunities. And that was, I think, my first experience of being like, I need to go raise money, capital, you know, as a nonprofit, it's a different situation. I had to go raise money to then run a national search to find a new executive director and replace myself. And that was actually a very, very clean break because it was like, there was a conflict of interest if I'm running a competitor to our donors, right? But I think that was my first experience of like, it is a heart-wrenching thing to step away from something where you pour yourself into it. It is so much of your heart and soul to be like, not only does it not need me anymore, and there's a lot of emotions with that, but also like, it's not in my control anymore. Like you can care about it, you can be the biggest cheerleader, but like you're not a decision maker in that, right? I think with August, you know, it's interesting because I think, as I said, in the first maybe like year or so, we used my platform to catapult the brand, right? I went from 0 to 4 million followers in 2 years. And then now I have like 6-7 million across channels. But I would say that in sort of the seed round conversations and even more recently, it is almost more of like a red flag of like, well, does this hurt potential exit if it's so closely tied to one person, right? I think another thing is like, I am very authentic online because there's that lack of boundary, but like, I'm not a soft, you know, easy to, you know, ingest person necessarily. Like I'm very opinionated. I'm very outspoken about certain political issues. And that can sometimes hurt a brand that needs to resonate nationally and with a lot of diverse audiences, right? And I think that that's also, so I think there are a lot of things. So one, like the company didn't really need me, but also two, like the company needs to grow beyond me. And three, I think that it's realizing that the team that is at the company, like I have full belief that they can take it and go with it.
I think that's so smart to be able to think about that full scope and the future of the business and really put the business before your own personal needs. And I think it was very similar with Create and Cultivate. And I will say being too attached to the business is definitely a detriment to exits. I've experienced that firsthand. So our first exit fell apart because of that exact thing. And then I brought in a C-suite and was able to kind of like create, again, more entry points beyond myself with the business. And not even like I was as visible as you are. And then obviously going down the line, I think that's like really, really smart. And then you also have this incredible personal brand that you want to explore and do things with. So I think it's a really smart move. And I think to your point, like the founderitis, like, you know, even buying Create and Cultivate back, I knew I didn't want to be the one running it day to day because like to your point, it's like you have to take a moment to be like, I'm not the right person anymore to be at the helm of this, and like something needs to evolve and change.
I think another thing I recently also really reminded myself is that like when I think about what I wanted to be when I grew up, it was never a CPG founder. Like I didn't start August because I wanted to run a product company. My motivation to start August was like I believed so strongly that a company like August needed to be in existence, right? And before I even believed in myself as a potential CPG founder, it was like, I believe that these are changes other companies should make. This is what the industry needs. And I think what I'm really proud of is like, we are on shelves as an organic, clean brand that's bold and stands for something. Like, I think in many ways, like I kind of achieved what I set out to do. And like, but I don't think I'm meant to, or like would be good at, continuing on at the helm of where the company's now at like a scale as a national CPG brand.
Of course. Yeah. And so now you're consulting for a ton of different brands in the startup ecosystem. What do you find yourself often telling them? Like, what do people really come for you for, and what's the advice you give?
I think a lot of people come to me and they're like, we want to do exactly what you did. And I think that's always like the biggest
red flag
where I'm like, no. Like, especially when it's a founder who's like shyer, doesn't like the camera, and is like, I think what our business needs is for me to be an influencer. And I'm like, no, like for me, I'm an introvert performer where like, I love being on camera. I love doing these things. Like it would just be an opportunity cost for you doing your best things. So I think that that's one of the things people come to me for. I think like I love go-to-market strategy. Like I love the pre-launch to launch or like growth in new areas. So I think that's what really excited me about working with Cherub was like, you guys have years of building out, but you're also at this like really exciting time where you're still launching, right? And you're constantly shipping new products. I definitely am very interested in the tech space, like specifically in like IRL community. And so I've been working with Pi a lot and like building this run club with my sisters. But I think I just really love the like year 1 through 3 galvanizing, launching, go to market, where it's all experimentation and like you don't really know what works yet. That's really where
it's
I thrive.
So fun. Like I do feel like again the butterflies of like launching, create, and cultivate. I feel those again with Cherub, and it's so hard to capture that moment in time. To your point, and so it's really exciting that that's like where you want to be living. And so let's talk a little bit about the creator economy. So you obviously have like millions and millions of followers. You have a real CPG company. You have brand deals. Most creators are just operating at the brand deal level and being like, this is my business. I do brand deals. What do you think the creator economy gets most wrong about what it actually means to build wealth?
Oh, that's such a great question. And like, again, as some background for your audience, like I kind of put out feelers to get in touch with you because for me, like, I think in the last year, as I've found success, like financially as a creator and taking my experience as a VC-backed founder, it was like, wow, this is a bridge that like doesn't exist in the way that it should. And that's why I was so excited about, what you're building at Cherub. But okay, so I think what it gets wrong is that once you're a successful creator, you're just like successful and that's it, right? But like I've been in this game for over a decade, and I don't even mean as like a TikToker. But actually, the first time I ever signed my first 6-figure deal, I had 13,000 followers only on Instagram and very low engagement, but they signed me because I was like a youth activist, like for one of their purpose-driven campaigns. But it was my first experience, and this was like freshman year of college of being like, oh my God, there is money in this. Like, how do I lean more into that? And so I think I always knew I wanted to build that. But I've seen people, peers of mine, come into success and 2 months later, no brand deals, it's all dried up. I've also seen myself, it's such a volatile income situation where you get brand deals and then it's mostly one-off. You don't know what's coming again. Maybe you get a multi-year deal, but like what happens after that? The platforms are always changing. We are completely beholden to these platforms, and it is becoming more and more oversaturated, right? Like I now also kind of big sister help my sisters build their businesses because both my sisters are full-time content creators as well. So between the 3 of us, I think we have like 9 or 10 million followers across channels. But like I see them go through financial stress and anxiety because you can have an amazing month and then you're just like, where's deal flow, right? And then when the TikTok ban, this is when I really started thinking about diversifying career and wealth as a creator.
For sure.
When the TikTok ban was, potential, everyone was freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like, as they should. It was like, we don't know what's going to happen. The algorithm's going to change. Will we have a career? And so I think that was a big part of it. And being in the founder world where you see these wins happen. Like, wait, I'm sorry, you're an example of this. You invested how much? You got how much out? Like, you invested 10,000, you get over $1 million back. Like, just these things about what to do with your money. I also think not coming from wealth, like I never grew up with like a family wealth advisor or manager. Like, there were no savings to manage. So then you get to a place, and I'm very lucky to be in my career where it's like, oh, I have like savings. I can buy a house, so I bought a house. But then I'm left with this amount of money, and I don't understand investing in stocks. It's something I'm working on. But I think it's like, what can you creatively do? And I think coming from like the founder hat on, it's like, wait, as a creator, I know I am a very valuable investor because I can invest my capital, but there's so much more I can bring to the table. And when we talk about getting strategic angels who can help your business, being a content creator and saying, hey, early stage direct-to-consumer brand or any sort of brand, rather than you spending all this money on building brand awareness, like I can not only invest capital, but maybe there's something else we can do because I can provide a service that you could really benefit from. And it's interesting because as I've encouraged and brought in some angel investors into August who are influencers, and the people who are very successful are making millions of dollars a year and like have never heard of angel investing. No one's ever approached them about it. They've never heard, it's a very scary world. Like you hear these terms like safe, convertible note, valuation, discount. It's just such an unknown world. And it's crazy to me because it seems like a no-brainer of creators being investors.
I mean, I think the jargon is probably half the battle.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to learn a completely different language. Like that's the reality to even like step in the room. And so I think like I've been creating a lot of content around that, like WTF is a safe, WTF is better, to break it down because I think that is a barrier to entry to a lot of people. But the reality is, to your point, we're hitting this inflection point right now where I do think angel investing is becoming more mainstream. And we're seeing people post about angel investing online. There's now people that you specifically follow for angel investing advice, and that this whole door is opening up. Because I think even for me, when I was doing my first angel investments, I assumed I had to write $50,000 or $100,000 checks. Like I was so nervous even talking to people because I felt so much pressure of like, I can't do that. But then you realize like, because of things like SPVs, you can write $2,500 checks, $10,000 checks, and like get your foot in the door. And there's also the social capital piece of it. So can you talk a little bit about like the social and also the learnings from becoming an investor?
Yeah. Well, I think one person who's really kind of, brought this into light is like Alex Earl, right? I think with the Poppy deal specifically and recently Gorgie, like I think seeing someone who is so known as first and foremost a lifestyle influencer come out and say like, I'm a strategic investor, right? And I don't know the terms of the deal, if it was a mix of cash, equity, whatever, but like, I think that in a world where fucking everyone can be an influencer, anyone can be an influencer, like, I feel like any person I know, like, an influencer or a micro influencer, like it is such an oversaturated space, which I think is really exciting, right? It's a huge opportunity for so many different people. But I think that in the influencer world, it becomes a way you can differentiate yourself. If you can say, oh, I'm a creator, but I have a brand, or I'm an investor, or I'm an angel investor, I think it adds to your credibility and to your platform, right? And I think that, I've seen this in my own business. Like I've gotten many brand deals specifically because they know that I have built credibility as a founder or as an entrepreneur, right? Even if you think about the creative briefs, like I do these skincare brand deals and it's all about, oh, my skin breaks out when I'm stressed because I'm running this business and this is what I use for my skin, right? So I think that it is in your best interest as a creator to kind of show that you have the brains, you have the beauty, and also from a business perspective, you're exploring beyond just like the brand deal momentum.
Yeah, it gives you more things to talk about too on your platform, because I do think because of AI, the lifestyle only creators are going to find themselves a little screwed in like 4 to 5 years as the technology gets better.
Yeah.
Like even now I'll be like, is this girl AI? And then I'm like, I have to kind of go deeper, but I'm like, that because it doesn't matter, it's just a hot girl wearing a cool outfit, you'll stop and look at it or like scroll. But like if you know that person, you know their interests, what they do, they teach you something, there's something beyond that. Like those, like, we kind of call them like the multi-hyphenate creators, I think are going to supersede the lifestyle influencers.
Yeah. I also think that it's just the smartest thing to do as an influencer because like as an example, like my managers, part of the conversation with your talent managers is seeding products into your videos, right? And there's always a conversation that says, hey, you have X amount of products in your bathroom because of PR, because you bought them. Here are the brands that are spending, right? But then you're left with this set of brands that aren't spending and you can't spend, but maybe you would really like those products. And so I think there's also like an organic economic interest in like, wait, this is a product that I genuinely love and I want to promote it. I'm not going to get anything from it. Is there a world in which like I have equity in said company? They need a little bit of help so that they can get to that spending momentum, and I have a vested interest in doing so. And I will also say I've been really interested in like the refounder examples we're seeing. So like, you know, Bella Hadid with Kin, right? Like Bella Hadid comes into Kin as co-founder, has that equity deal, and I think has really shown that she's built this portfolio of different brands. Similarly, like Chriselle Lim with Fleur, right? Comes in, refounds a company that was already in existence, relaunches as co-founder, sells for I think like 400 mil. Or Leah Kateb from, you know, Love Island with Skylar. Like there are all these examples. And I'm really excited because I think I'm at that point in my career where I'm sort of like exploring those opportunities of like, are there companies out there that I can kind of come in and say like, hey, these are the things that I can lend. Is there an opportunity for me to come in with a co-founder title and a co-founder investment and be able to just help take and shepherd this company to a new height?
And I don't even think people know that's possible. It is possible. And even with like the Fleur side of things, like so genius. Like I knew that brand before and after Chriselle. And I think it's such a genius way that they did that. So you are now chief creator officer of Cherub, which is so exciting. So again, like not a brand deal, you know, not a full-time role for you, but it's something where you come in and you have this expertise that we need, frankly. You're passionate about the space and you want to educate creators. So can you tell us a little bit about why you're so passionate about this side of the business?
Yeah, I'm really passionate about this side of the business because one, I think it's just a completely unused space, like untapped space. Like I also think that we've seen the creator economy shift so much in a way that's like, I think putting lifestyle creators in a really scary position, right? Like I think affiliate marketing, I mean, we all know this, like has completely changed the game. It's changed the rates you can get because now these companies don't need to shell out necessarily these huge upfront brand costs when they're able to take a way less of a margin hit through affiliate marketing, right? So I think like it's in the best interest of these influencers. It's in the best interest of early stage, especially consumer founders who need to get their name out there in an attention economy where it's really hard to do that. And I think that in my experience as a founder, in my experience as a creator, I felt kind of alone trying to bridge that gap, specifically from a capital standpoint, right? I also think I've been in my own journey of like, my thoughts on capitalism, being anti-capitalism, now being at a point where I'm like, it is unavoidable as a founder and a small business. You need capital to scale and grow. And that's not something we should shy away from. Like the best way to like build small business companies to support underrepresented founders is through capital. And if we can do that on Cherub, I honestly like, even without the creator piece, Cherub was really exciting to me because I think one of the biggest ways you see privilege, like male privilege, white privilege, wealth privilege, show up in the founder space is like fundraising is all about who you know. So if you don't come from a network with a lot of money, that's really hard. And then you have all these founders telling you, oh, don't do cold emails. It's all about warm intros. And I think that's why like something like Cherub that makes it a bit more social and normalizes cold outreach and listing your deal, I think is exciting. But yeah, very, very passionate about the creator side just because I think it's like, it's such an obvious thing.
Of course. Yeah. And I love what you're saying too. So basically, you know, what's awesome is like $8 million has been deployed to founders through Cherub, which is incredible. But to your point, it's like, I think what we're early to or around the corner of, I would say, is the fact that fundraising has always felt like this closed door thing. Like you don't want to talk about it. You don't want people to know you're fundraising because then if it's taking too long, you feel like you can't close. And there's a lot of stigma around the fundraising experience and process, so much so that there's so much bullshit surrounding it and like FOMO and deal, whatever. And like, I actually don't think that sustains for much longer because I think there's so many founders out there and there's also now, fight for capital. So I was at this event and Beth Ferreira, who's the GP at Serena Ventures, someone was like, how have you felt like the venture landscape has changed? She's like, I feel like it used to be a cottage industry and now we're at a knife fight. And I was like, that's so accurate. Why? Because people want to take money from the most strategic investors, from people who can actually move the needle from them, not just someone who can write a check. So now these VC firms are scrambling to become strategic and influential. And so, but who's always been strategic and influential are creators, are angel investors, exited founders, you know, so we've really kind of built the infrastructure for that. And I think we're going to be early to it.
Yeah. I think also there's so much opportunity, I think, in this line of work, because it's even beyond capital. Like, I think a lot of creators don't know about what sweat equity is, right? So like the fact that, hey, maybe I can trade posts and I get stock options or, you know, equity in a company. So I'm building my own wealth portfolio without putting cash forward. Like, there are so many opportunities. And I think what's exciting about Cherub is, like, I think Cherub is needed to not only house those opportunities and help facilitate them, but also to kind of standardize it so it's scalable, and do a lot of education. Like, so much education is needed to even be able to tell, like, I tell my sisters this, like, hey, like, you have a lot more money than we thought was possible. Like, what are you gonna do with it? How do you make sure that it is still here years from now? Because you don't know what's gonna happen with your content creating career or your rates or whatever. And then also, like, how do you make sure that you're intellectually stimulated from a business perspective? Because, like, I've found that investing in things that I'm really passionate about, or just learning about new industries, is so exciting. And I think I see that with a lot of creators that I've introduced to Cherub, is like, well, I've never heard about it, but I've thought of doing a brand. I've thought of, but I don't know how. So for them to be able to come in and have the opportunity to, like, be a face of a brand is so exciting.
Yeah, and I don't think everyone needs to found a company. I think that's another piece of that, is like, I think running a business is hard. Founding a company is extremely hard. Being a content creator, also hard. So the fact that I think there was this boom, and I think we're going to start to see like a little bit of recession on this, is like everyone just starting a brand.
Yeah.
I think now it's like, don't start the brand, become part of the brand, you know, that already exists. I think that's where we're going to start to see things going.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I kind of feel like I'm in that journey myself. And again, I've just been ruminating on this, of like, I think when I initially decided, okay, it's time to step away from August, and I remember telling my co-founder, and he was like, are you going to start something new? And I was like, I mean, maybe, but like, at this moment, I don't have an idea, and I don't have a part of me that's like, let me fully step into the role of owning the P&L, HR management. Like, so much of founding a company is HR.
Totally.
And like, honestly, that's not my strong suit. Like,
mine either, girl.
I feel like I'm a friendly person, but like, I feel like I have so much respect for people who work in HR, because it requires so much like direct confrontation and feedback that I'm not good at. Like, giving critical feedback is something I'm still working on. And so I feel like I'm at a point in my career where I'm like, I've done the entrepreneur thing. I love consulting. I love advising right now. And I'm open to a position where like I can step into a co-founder role, but not be like a solopreneur from the very ground. Because I don't think that that's something I I want to do.
And do the thing that you're good at.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Unfortunately, when you start a company, you have to do everything. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. And like, you probably have to do that for a while. Yeah. And then eventually it's like, and I feel like I'm in this place too, where it's like, I get to do the things I love the most now. Yeah. And I don't have to do the things that I really hated doing for, 8 years. So I think that's the best and highest use for what you're looking for. And I think right now is exciting because you're able to explore a lot of things. So you're getting married, you're running marathons, you're advising a ton of companies, you're rebuilding relationships with your sisters, you're managing a health condition. This is a lot of living out loud. So what are you doing for yourself lately?
Yeah, that's also a tricky one, because I would say like, this is where not having boundaries with like my social media is like, there are certain things that started as, oh, this is just for me, like running.
Now they're businesses.
Which is now it's like, oh, like that's a huge, like, I love running. I love running marathons. I think fitness is such a big part of my self-care. And the majority of my brand deals are from fitness related things, right? So, but that being said, I think because I love what I do and I feel so thankful, like, that I get to like work out and it's like somehow a career, like that's crazy to me, is like, I think for me, like, I still really think of fitness as something that I do for myself. I would say my biggest thing is sleep. Like, I sleep 8 to 10 hours a night.
Same girl.
And that to me is like for myself. Like, obviously I can say it online or anything, but like nobody's paying me to sleep more. Like, to me, sleeping a lot is so big for me. The other thing I think has been such a self-care practice is saying no to social plans. Like, I am all about like people. I love hosting things, but I am not a social extroverted person. Like, after I host something, I need to be alone for like 12 hours. in such a different way where like one of my sisters is so extroverted, like she's so, and she took a shot of caffeine when she hangs out with people. For me, I'm like not like that. So I think one thing I've gotten really comfortable at is like I don't like go out to drinks to catch up with people. I don't like go regular dinners, and I think that that's kind of been for myself too.
No, I'm so aligned with all of that. Okay, let's end with some rapid fire. The hardest part about raising money
is just the rejection.
Your favorite creator to follow?
Probably my sisters. Yeah.
They're so good. Wait, do you want to shout out their handles?
Oh yeah. At Isa Okamoto, at Amaya Okamoto. We do a lot of stuff together.
It's very cute.
But it's fun because like even like we're all real-time posters. So like they live across the street from me, by the way. Like I've kind of successfully made this family compound. And so we'll do something together, then we'll make content of it, and then we'll watch it together. And it's just like cute.
It's so cute. I love it. Okay, one word to describe your current chapter.
I think uncertain.
Ooh.
Exciting but uncertain.
The last thing you splurged on?
Oh, I bought my first Chanel bag.
Ooh.
Yes.
That's exciting.
I'm frugal as fuck. Like it's actually like an issue. I'm working on it in like therapy, whatever. Like I need to learn how to spend money.
Yeah.
But I got myself a white little Chanel bag for my bridal era.
Oh, yes. So pretty. Okay, a founder you admire?
You?
Oh.
I mean, I've looked up to like you and like Sally from Argent and like these people who've just built really thoughtful businesses. I would also say like, I don't want you to make you feel old or anything.
No,
but
please.
but when I was in college, I remember Create and Cultivate was like the media place you would go to figure out like what you want to do, like inspiration for women. And I think you guys really like have evolved in the eras of like girl boss height, girl boss low, recovering girl boss, just the overall conversation.
Yeah.
And I very much like leaned into every part of that. Like I was pro girl boss, I was a girl boss, and I was a recovering, you know, like, and I think that, so I really look up to what you built just as a fan. And so that's why for me, it's such a dream to be able to work on Cherub with you as like a mentor and a new friend, but also just like I'm so passionate about what we're building.
Yes, I know. It's a dream to work with you. I'm so proud of you. I mean, you are just killing it at such a young age. It's going to be amazing to watch what you do.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yay!
Thanks for listening to this episode of Work Party. If you like what you heard, follow, leave a review, rate the pod, or slide into our DMs.
Check out the different ways you can create and cultivate on our website, createcultivate.com. From retreats and masterminds to our summits and festival.
We have different experiences to support you through your entrepreneurial journey from launch
to legacy.
Follow us at Create Cultivate on all platforms, and don't forget, work hard.
Party on.
Please note that this episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products and services. Individuals on the show may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to in this episode.